All right, everybody, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I know it's like Christmas Eve, and nobody's really worried about selling on Amazon right now, but this is something really important to me, and I would assume to the other people I've invited to join me, and hopefully to all of you, because your virtual assistants are part of your business, just like you have an employee. If they do a good job, hopefully you're giving them a bonus at the end of the year. Not only because they did a good job, but it's going to be a great incentive for them to continue to do a good job. And, especially when you have remote workers or virtual assistants or, whatever you want to call them, these people are part of your business, and you need to treat them that way. And if I didn't tell you that, then maybe you may not have thought about it, but, giving them a bonus or some kind of incentive to work towards the next quarter for, not even, for Christmas, this is a busy time. They're going to be, probably you've been having them work a lot of extra time, and, they may want to slack off, but, you give them that bonus for the ones who did a good job, then it's going to be an incentive for them to work for throughout the whole year, into next quarter four. They're going to know what's coming. There's going to be hard work, but they're going to get an great incentive for it. And a lot of them, most people don't talk about it. I didn't really hear anybody talking about it, until Nathan's blog post came out that he helped with. But they used to call it, the 13th month. I don't hear people call it that anymore, but it's basically equal to a 1 month salary. If if you have employees from the Philippines, that's what they've come to expect in physical jobs, where they might be working in a factory or wherever else. They're going to get a bonus at the end of the year that's equal to 1 month salary. So it's basically another month's pay. And of course, if you don't have them working the whole year, they're not going to warrant a full month's pay. But, for me, I gave, I've got one person that from Nathan that I gave $100 bonus to, and I think she's only been working about, a month and a half. So it's well more than what she's working, because she's not even working for me full time, but she's really one of my best VAs. If I told Chris to do something, she'd be able to do it just as well as he can. And English isn't even her first language, but when you have somebody like that, you don't want to lose them. You don't want them to move on somewhere else, and it's a great way to incentivize them, to work towards that busy season and not, for one, quit and find somebody else before then, or just kind of, milk it and do as little as possible. I'll be the first one to admit I fired 2 people, right before or right after maybe the beginning of December, because, they weren't, up to the task. And I wasn't trying to avoid giving them a bonus, because if they weren't doing a good job and I did keep them, they wouldn't have gotten a bonus anyway, because, bonuses are for people who deserve it. So not every one of your employees deserves it. Not every employee got a bonus. I have several employees from Nathan that I didn't give bonuses to, basically because, I don't consider them my employees. I consider them, a freelancer who's doing work for me. But if somebody, is doing product sourcing or running tactical arbitrage or OA X-ray, or, handling your Amazon account all the time. I have somebody who does accounting work, but I don't know, he maybe works 2 or 3 hours a week. He's not going to get a bonus from me because, he's just some guy who, helps me with some tasks. So, there is a point where, at least for me, I think that, somebody who's doing freelance work for you is different from an employee that's working for you. And, nobody that I get from FreeeUp or Upwork, or, that's the only places I hire from anymore, but none of those people for me are, are actually my employees. I pay Nathan, I pay FreeeUp, and FreeeUp pays them. So they're not, I guess legally my employee, but, they work for me. I pay somebody and they get paid and they do a job. So, I consider those, they're part of my team. And if they're part of your team, then, they really deserve a, some kind of extra compensation, I think. And if nothing else, if you don't believe in Christmas or whatever, it's quarter 4. This is your busy time. You want them to work hard and work hard next year for your busy time of the year. Or, you don't want them to give up in January now because you've got all this money you made. You got to do something with that.
Agreed.
So, Chris, any thoughts on that? And how do you deal with those same situations? I know you've got several VAs that you've been working with for a long time.
Yeah. So several of the ones that I have currently are fairly new, but my developer, he got a bonus, and then I have one VA who's been with me for I think a year, and he got a 13th month bonus, which was it was nice for him. It was a lot of money. Not in American standards, but definitely in Philippine standards. But yeah, I really tried to treat them as fairly as possible because I do want them to work for me and with me and as hard as they would as if it were their own business. And I think that's really the way to go, just treating them right.
Agreed. So for me, I kind of divide it into 2 parts. There's the personal side of it, which it's the right thing to do, in my opinion. And also, when you're growing a business, it should never be your intention to only make you rich. You want to make money for the people around you as well. Anyone can go out and make a penny for themselves, but it takes a lot to make or to create a business that really helps more than just one person. So there's that side of it, but it's also just a good business decision. When you find a worker that you really like, you want them to stay with the company. Turnover sucks. Losing someone that you like, that you put a lot of training in, that you value very highly in the company, it just isn't a good business decision. So you want to do everything you can to not only motivate them, but keep them around. And yes, I mean, just because you give someone a bonus doesn't guarantee they'll be with you the rest of the year or the next year or anything like that. But overall, percentage-wise, people stay more, they're more productive if you give that bonus. And then there are also some other factors to keep in mind. If you're 5 years into your company, you should pay more of a bonus than if you're in year 1 or if you're 6 months in. Shawn mentioned how long you've been working with that particular worker. Have they been with you the entire year? Has it been a 6-month thing? And obviously how you did in the 4th quarter, revenue, profit, all that stuff, and what you can actually afford. So I have 15 internal assistants at FreeeUp, most of which are getting bonuses except for the ones that like recently joined in the past week or so that I just added to my team. But I mean, my bookkeeper, incredibly valuable. I don't want to lose my bookkeeper. The person who does HR and her assistant that do a great job finding all these workers for FreeeUp and putting them through the interview process and all that. And Jan, who you guys have probably met, who's on Skype every day helping me deal with a million Skype messages and email. And they're just the core. And then I've got a bunch of people around them that really hold down the fort. So I want to treat them well. I haven't done it yet. My bonuses I give out on my last billing period before the holidays, so that'll be next Thursday. But there's also different ways to go about it, anywhere from half a week's pay all the way up to a month's pay, depending on where you are in your company. I do a combination. I give raises as the business grows so that they're incentivized to want the business to do well and put their effort in, because they know if the business does well, they'll do better. And then they also get that end of the year bonus. So it kind of complements each other.
Awesome. And if you are using FreeeUp and you want to give your anybody on your team a bonus, you can just you have an email you can send those requests to, or
yeah, just email accounting at FreeeUp with the worker's name and the amount, and we'll take care of it for you. We'll send them an email that tells them that you send them the bonus. They'll be well aware of it. We'll pay it out to them whenever the next billing period is, which is usually on Thursdays. And it's really that simple. And I've honestly been incredibly surprised and humbled with how many bonus requests we've gotten so far. People, even before I wrote that article, we're really appreciating their work, and they understand that a business is more than just one person and that it takes a team to succeed. So it's been really great. And I can tell you on our side, where I talk to these VAs all day, they're incredibly appreciative. A lot of them are they're making enough to live, and they are living paycheck by paycheck, or maybe a step above that. And every little dollar helps, and they want to care about your business and help your business and see it grow. And it's good for them to be rewarded for that.
Definitely. And while we're talking about FreeeUp, if you're not familiar with FreeeUp, Nathan is the CEO, and he does a lot of supplying trained VAs. So that doesn't mean, if you want to use OA X-ray or tactical arbitrage, something like that, they're not going to be trained to do. But, if you're doing product sourcing, everybody's going to be a little different. But, he can give you somebody who's familiar with that. If you're using, if you're doing work on Amazon, or you're using, Xero or QuickBooks, or, any of the major software suites out there, he has VAs that are already trained to do that. And, they start at like $5, right? $5 an hour, which is basically what you're going to be paying anywhere else. And especially if they're trained and they're on their own, they're going to want even more than that if you go to somewhere like Upwork. So I'll post in the links if you want to set up an account. You can just go to freeup.shawnmayo.com. It'll take you right there. You can give them your information. You don't have to do anything, but you'll be in their system. He's got a lot of stuff going on with eBay, and he has deals with a lot of companies. So just by being a client and creating that account, you're going to be able to have access to a lot of that. I believe you have something going with eBay. Can you tell us all about that real quick? Where you can get free listings and all kinds of stuff, especially if you're already selling on eBay. They can, he has, a team that's working directly with eBay that can probably give you some more free stuff right in your account.
Exactly. For those of you who don't know, I'm trying to build the top 1% of e-commerce workers. We're constantly trying to improve our network, improve the training and the interview process, and make our worker and team staff better and better and better over time, and then make these workers available for no monthly fee and no sign-up fee, available to our clients for an hourly rate, with no minimums, as much or as little as you want to use them. And we protect you from turnover. And if you invest any time into training a worker, if that worker quits in 6 months, in a year, in 2 weeks, whatever it is, and we obviously try to keep our turnover low, we cover all retraining costs. So you never have to pay training twice. So that's really what we're all about. But we have some awesome partnerships that we've been building over the past year and a half, from 71 pounds to Feed Advisor to eBay. And we partnered with eBay recently to help people get unsuspended, although it's not a guarantee, raise limits on eBay accounts. They're offering a free year of the premium version of InkFrog, which a lot of people use, a lot of my clients use at least, and Sellbrite, which I've never used myself, but I actually have 2 big clients who do use it, and they have nothing but good things to say about it. So those are just some of the, also unlimited insertion fees and 3 months of the basic eBay store. So it's a great way to get off the ground. And they'll even consult you. If you're doing less than $1,000 every 3 months, they'll get you off your feet and get you going, and then pass you over to some FreeeUp VAs to take you to the next level. So that's been a pretty cool partnership that I formed about a month ago, that a lot of people have taken advantage of.
Awesome. Yeah. So a lot of great stuff. We use them. Of course, we don't share any companies that we don't personally use. Awesome, Tyler. So just create an account, get with Nathan, put in that you're interested in that deal with eBay, and they'll get you going. And, it's in everybody's best interest, it's in my best interest for you to grow your business, because then you're going to need, me for consulting or tactical arbitrage lists or any of the things we do. And it's in Nathan's best interest to, get you all of those free insertion fees and to grow your eBay business. Because when your business grows, you're going to need more workers. And since Nathan helped you, hopefully you'll go back to him to, to get those workers. So, set up your free account and you'll be, he'll hook you up with all that great stuff. So, I'm going to post the link to the blog post that Nathan did. And, really, the thing we really wanted to talk about was not just giving bonuses and giving, taking care of your workers, but, you need to A lot of people here and a lot of people that come to my webinars may not have a VA, and it's really one of the biggest things that that changed our business is hiring people outside. I always had help from my family, so a lot of people don't have help from their family, so they're going to start out by just you're probably just trying to do everything by yourself, and there's so many jobs that you could be doing you don't need to be doing. Hiring people is what changed my business. But I already had my family helping me. So, the next step is to hire to hire a VA, and you'll be surprised all the different things that you can do. If you don't physically have to touch something, you could hire somebody. And think about all the things that you do and look at each one of those jobs and say, is it worth, is my time only worth $5 an hour? Because that's what you can pay a VA. And now you can pay Nathan's VAs $5 and they already know how to do it. You probably have some people that can help you, do some things on Amazon, on your Amazon account. We open cases, all that stranded inventory. You could have people dealing with negative feedbacks. All that stuff you're spending hours a day. You should be spending time. What I do is I grow my business and I think about ways to make it bigger. That's why I'm able to, help so many people. We have mastermind groups. We can, make videos teaching you how to, use tactical arbitrage and OA X-ray and all these other tools, because now I have VAs that are helping me with my Amazon business, so I don't need to waste time doing that. I don't need to open cases. You don't need to open cases, You don't need to worry about all that stuff. Worry about the thousands of dollars that Amazon probably owes you because you have a VA. I've had a VA doing that for like 3 years now. Before I ever knew about Nathan, I trained my own to do it. Before there was even any of those companies out there that do it now and take whatever, 20, 30, 50% of your profits, I was doing it myself. And I've had the same VA doing it for a long time now. So you got to think about all those jobs that you could be doing other stuff. And if it's spending time with your family or going to watch a movie or sitting on a beach, it doesn't matter, but there's more important things that you could be doing. Your time is worth more than $5, even if it's outsourcing at a store or sourcing online or whatever it is.
Agreed. And I bet you that VA that you've been using for years, you want to keep her around because that would be a pain to retrain and reinvest that time and energy into doing it. So it just kind of leads back to our original point that you should go through your business and see who are your employees, your contractors, your workers, your freelancers that you really don't want to lose and that could really set your business back if you have to start the training from ground one. And you should make sure that you, one way or another, take care of them and make them want to work for you and improve your company and contribute to your company. And a lot of times when you find the right worker, they're not only doing what they're told, they're bringing something to the table that helps improve your processes or your systems that they've learned from another business or another experience. And those are the really valuable workers that you try to hold on to and the ones that I keep very close to me on my internal team. And I always let them know how much I appreciate them and that I really couldn't do it without them. I mean, my internal team bills me, I think it was over like 200, 250 hours a week. I don't have that many hours in a week. So I really depend on them a lot, and I try to let them know that FreeeUp wouldn't run without them. It's the same thing with my Amazon store. It runs very much like yours. It has a team of people doing most, if not all, the tasks that I really don't want to be doing, so I could go out and start a second company.
Definitely. And if you don't have, anything else you need to do for your business, go find some other way to make money or don't. The beauty of selling on Amazon, which I'm sure everybody here is Amazon sellers, the beauty of it is that you can do whatever you want. If you wanted to sit in an office, you could go work for somebody else. But, it's Christmas time now. I want to spend time with my family. I took 5 days off over the last week, and I went to Disney World and we went to St. Augustine, because I wanted to. And we don't want to be stuck sitting there having to wait to ship things out for your Amazon business or whatever business you have. When you have those those virtual assistants, they can keep the business going. They can answer your emails. They can do whatever it is that you need done, where all you have, we have prep centers now. We have everything. I help tons of people that aren't even in the U.S. anymore. They buy online, they ship to a prep center goes to Amazon, and they get paid every 2 weeks. So now we're in a position where we don't have to do, we don't have to have a warehouse. We don't have to ever touch a product. I know a seller that sells about $4 million a year for the last few years, and he's never physically bought a single product that he sells on Amazon. Everything goes right. Probably you too. So you don't have to, you don't have to deal with all these problems, and you have VAs, and now, with Nathan, you have a company that's going to, probably have them already trained for you. And if not, I mean, it's so super easy to train people. All the free training that we've done, a course on tactical arbitrage and OA X-ray and Keepa and, all those other tools that are on my website. If you don't have an account, ShawnMayo.com, and everything on there is free. So have them make an account and learn how to use tactical arbitrage. If you're doing that yourself, hire a VA, have them go watch my free training videos, and now you have a VA that's trained to do it.
Agreed. You don't even have to train them yourself. Just have them sit down and watch a video that's already pre-made. Right.
And if it's something you know how to do, and this is the way I trained all my VAs, the ones that I had to train in the past, is I used, and if you watch any of my videos where I shared my screen, I use a program called Screencast-O-Matic. It costs like $15 a year, but it's free, I think, up to 20-minute videos. So we made 20-minute videos, uploaded them unlisted to YouTube, and we sent them the link. And it's better than writing anything down, because a VA, if they're in the Philippines or wherever you're getting them from, they don't, they probably don't speak English. So writing stuff down or explaining it to them or doing a screen share that's not recorded is a waste of time, because they need to watch that video over and over. They'll watch it 10 times until they figure everything out. And if they do something wrong, they can go back to that video and watch it again.
Agreed. The biggest mistake people make is doing those one-on-one trainings and then realizing that they don't want the VA, or the VA wants to do well, but they have nothing to look back on. They have no notes. They have no video. So just making those videos available, even if it's your own training video or you're buying another one or you're using a free one off Shawn's site, just giving them access to it. So in their free time, and most of the time they won't even bill you for it, they'll just review it or go to a certain point of it and check up on something that they're unsure of. And it's going to save you so much time in the long run. And I know Chris and Shawn are like me. They value their time at a very high level. So doing stuff like that to reduce any time spent on retraining in the future is huge.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. So if I were going to give you guys best practices, it would be use the videos. I actually do use Shawn's videos. And then if it's someone who doesn't know the tools that we need, I also have just a Google folder with links to all of the tools like Keepa and my own extensions and some other free extensions that I want to give to the VA. I send them that, and then of course there's videos for each of those things on how to use them. That way I can just walk away and let them learn. And that's and then come ask me questions, of course. And then I also create a document with sales ranks and ROI and all those things that I want, and they have that so they can look at it the entire time they're sourcing for me.
Yeah, definitely. Really, just like Chris, the only thing we're writing down is links, because, and a description of what they are. Because if you try and write those instructions out, they may understand English, but they're probably not reading it very well. So, those written instructions that I constantly see people talking about, training employees with, they got a 40 or 400 page book, 3 ring binders, or digital versions that they're given to their VAs. And I just don't think it makes sense, because I've seen the results, and, those VAs never worked out. You know, I went through, I don't know, I think dozens of VAs when I started, and you know, it just didn't work until I started making videos, and then, you know, I went from, you know, 99% not working to 99% actually working out.
Agreed. Like you said, the videos are a much better idea than putting stuff in writing. What I'm trying to do is create a network of VAs that have the 3, 5, 10 years of experience already doing this stuff. So the training that you have to do with them is much more specific to your particular business, since everyone's business is a little bit different. And as we grow, we're getting more and more workers that have used common software, like tactical arbitrage and different things like that, or the zeros of the world, so that they are familiar with the basics, and everyone uses software a different way. But at the same time, if you hire someone from scratch, the pro is you usually pay less because you might end up finding someone for $2 or $3 an hour on Upwork. But the time that you invest into them is your own time. So there's something to be said about getting a VA that's already put in that work for the past 3 to 5 years and comes with you with a very basic or even advanced understanding, because we do offer VAs from $5 to $50 an hour that require very little training time.
Right. So I think this is a good question for you, Nathan. Ken wanted to know how VAs are compensated for the time they spend watching videos and getting up to speed. So the training time for you.
Yeah, so I can only speak for my business. At FreeeUp, all training is paid. So everything is considered build time. You can interview with our workers for free, but once you decide to hire them, and before you do any consulting, training, working, anything like that, you confirm the hire, and then all time spent is build time. And it's worth it. It's fair to them. I mean, putting someone through free training, in my opinion, is unethical, because they are spending their time, and it is opportunity cost, so they could be doing work for another client or another business. And usually the training time is worth it. And to protect our clients even more, like I mentioned at the beginning, all training is protected by our turnover guarantee. So if a worker spends 10 hours training and then quits in 6 months, we'll cover the next 10 hours of the new worker. So you only have to pay for training one time, but out of fairness of the worker, they do get paid for it.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I've never even heard of that idea of not, you know, paying them for training. I mean, they're already making so little, you know, you're not going to pay somebody, I wouldn't pay somebody $2 an hour, you know, for training time. And in reality, the training time for my business isn't that long, especially with, you know, with Nathan's guys. You know, so I think everybody that I currently have, I mean, I didn't spend an hour in training. You know, I mean, they just know what they're doing. So if you tried other VAs, you know, I wouldn't be able to compare them to what I've gotten from FreeeUp. You know, I've had some, I'm not saying everyone I've had works, because I've had a few who didn't work out, or, you know, they were thinking about other stuff when they were, you know, supposed to be working or whatever, and I got rid of them, got somebody else. But like everyone that I have now is literally better than every other VA I've ever had. You know, as far as training time and understanding what they're doing, and some stuff I didn't even understand. Like the person who does accounting work, I had no idea how to use Xero, so I created the account and I imported my banking information and PayPal and all that. And I had no idea what to do, you know, and he basically pulled all the information he needed, told me, put it in a spreadsheet, told me to write comments on, you know, what the entries were for, and he did everything else. So I didn't even know what I was doing, and I was able to hire somebody who was already trained in the software, who knew what they were doing, and just told me what to give them. You know, and if I would have went to Upwork for that, you know, for one thing, I would have wanted to have hired somebody, you know, from the Philippines to be accessing all my banking information. I mean, he doesn't have access to my bank account, but he has access to everything that comes from the bank account. You know, but I know it's going to be somebody who's trained, somebody who's working for other people, and, you know, I mean, I'm paying a premium price. It's not a $5, you know, I'm not getting a $5 an hour accountant, but, you know, if I went to my real accountant, I'm going to pay him $100 an hour to do the same job. So I don't even know what I'm paying, but
Agreed. And off of that, I mean, the freelancing industry is never a perfection industry. What works for one person is never going to work for another, and we understand that. So if we provide you a VA and you don't like them, you can fire them anytime within the first 3 hours, and we don't charge you for it. We're not in the interest of getting someone that you hate, making a few dollars off you, and then pissing you off. We want to get you a VA or multiple VAs that you like working with that are going to help your business long term. And as long as you can provide feedback on what you liked and what you didn't like on that worker, we'll very quickly, we're talking within the same day or same hour, replace the worker, cover the cost, credit you the money back, and get you a new one right away and work with you until you're happy with the VAs that you have. And there's always some different options when you're hiring a VA. You can go the cheap route, which the $2 to $3 an hour VA that knows nothing, and go from them from scratch and just teach them everything. And if you spend your time training them, you'll save a lot of money long term. Or you can go kind of the mid-level route, someone with a lot of years of experience that you can just train how you want it done. For example, FBA reimbursements, maybe they have a lot of Amazon experience and seller support experience, but you know how to maximize your refunds. Or you might even spend a little bit more and get that expert who brings something to the table that you don't even know that can really help your business. So if for any position you want to hire, whether it's customer service, Google Analytics, Amazon FBA, always think about those three options and which one really makes sense for your business, for your time, and to save money down the line.
Yeah, definitely. Since you had a question that I just wanted to comment on, how do you know that you don't like the VA within the first 3 hours? And for us, I'm just going to jump out there and say that the first 3 hours is the most amount of time that I'm going to spend with that VA probably across their whole career, because that's the time I'm going to be finding out what they know, telling them what I need, discussing our goals, and doing the actual training. So, that's if they're meshing with you, if they're not understanding what you're saying, if they, you don't like the way they're responding, if they have a bad attitude towards you, or, act like they know what they're doing, better than you do, this is when you're going to find it out, because, the very beginning is when you're going to spend the most amount of time. After that, and especially for me, my best VAs, I really don't talk to very much at all. I mean, they tell me when they start and they tell me when they stop usually, but that's up to the VA. So, and then I'm gonna, I usually let them go, because, I don't have time to be micromanaging everybody. I want somebody that's I can train their job, they can do their job, and then I get the results. So the initial VA contact over Skype with Nathan, he does use a lot of Skype. I hate Skype, so he don't usually send people to me over Skype. I usually talk to them on Facebook Messenger. And after we get going, all my VAs talk to me on Facebook Messenger. I mean, I get hundreds of messages from other people, so having to deal with Skype and still Facebook Messenger, it works out better for me that way. But, you're the client, and with any business, we didn't do this just to try and sell you on, using Nathan's service. It's just what I use, and it's the best option out there, I think, for e-commerce and Amazon sellers. But whatever you want to do, if you want the VA to email you, if you want them to contact you on Skype or Facebook Messenger, or whatever common system that they'll have access to, that's what he's going to do. You're the client. Whatever you need is what they're going to do.
Agreed. And I mean, with me, I make my workers have Viber, WhatsApp, cell phone, Skype, Facebook, all that stuff. But even outside, if you're hiring an employee or someone on Upwork, make sure that you're the client and you're taking control of the situation. If you hate Skype and the worker only communicates on Skype, he's probably not a good fit for your company. And the same thing goes with your schedule. A lot of people are like, oh, what kind of schedule should I set with my worker? I'm like, okay, what's the schedule that works for you? And either tell me that up front so I can find a worker that fits that schedule, or if you find a worker you like, present that schedule to the worker, and they might have some small tweaks here and there that don't really affect you, but fit the worker's schedule or their personal preference, and you can come to an agreement. But for the most part, you only want to hire people that communicate with you the way you want to be communicated with and work at the times you want them to work. So Really keep that in mind throughout your entire hiring career as you're growing your business at year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Surrounding yourself with people that do it your way, because that's how you stop yourself from going crazy over time.
Yeah, definitely. And you brought up a good point, because I've talked to some really big sellers of huge warehouses and, dozens of employees, and they make all of their VAs work the same schedule they do. Now, I think we're in daylight savings time, so I think the time's like 13 hours or 11 hours or whatever. But outside of daylight savings time, I'm in Eastern time, and so is Nathan. So they're exactly 12 hours ahead of time. Ahead of us, usually. So, if it's 9 p.m. here, it's 9 a.m. there. So I'm going to bed when they're getting up. And the things that all my VAs do, I don't need to constantly monitor them. So some people say, you're going to work when we work. But if you have people doing product sourcing, or, opening cases on Amazon, do you need them to be working your schedule? Probably not. And here's where it's better to have somebody not in the U.S. So if you have somebody working your schedule, you get up at 9 a.m., they start at 9 a.m., and they're doing product sourcing while you're working through your day. So, at the end of your day, they're done and you're done. But let's say they're 12 hours ahead of you and they start at 9 p.m. your time, and if they're working 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever, when you wake up in the morning, now you have dozens or hundreds of product leads, if that's what you're looking for, waiting for you that you can go and buy. But if they were working the same time, you'd just be seeing them as they come in. You'd see one or two. And at the end of your day, you're waking up, you're ready to go buy, and you have a giant list of items to buy now. And that works perfect for us, and that's what we have a lot of VAs that do. And the other things that they do, making spreadsheets and opening cases, it doesn't matter what time of the day or night that happens. So actually none of our foreign worker VAs are working our same schedule. The Americans I have do work our same schedule. But, you need to decide what's best for you. Do you need to be able to contact them throughout the day? Because you're not going to be contacting them at 1 a.m. when it's 1 a.m. by you and it's 1 p.m. by them when you need to contact them. So, you need to think about that. At the beginning of your day, you can still contact them. And at the end of your day, you're still going to be able to contact them. And through the night if they have questions. But once they're trained, there's not many questions. There's them giving you what you need, and, that's really it.
Yeah, Chris, how do you do it? Because to me, I have a lot of my assistants I don't want working at the same time as me so that they can cover when I'm sleeping or doing other stuff. But then I also have people like my bookkeeper and my HR person that I want on at least for half the time that I'm on so that I can communicate with them each day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I let them use my tactical arbitrage account, I don't want them using it at the same time I do. So I like them to be reverse of my schedule. And I start work at like 10 in the morning after I drop the kid off at school, and work till 6 or 7 at night. And then I've got leads ready to go in the morning, both for myself, for my lead group, for the other things that I give leads to. And then at the end of the day, I can just say, hey, you know what, here's a sale, or here's, something I want you to look at. And then I can go to bed and they can handle the rest of it.
Agreed. I saw a question from Arlene saying, when you get the point that one VA is managing other VAs, when you get to the point, what do they make? So is that talking in terms of pay?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what the task is. So, I mean, you can hire U.S. people that you're paying the $50,000 a year. It's very similar on the VA side, depending on what it is. You can have people from the Philippines, and instead of making 5 to 10, maybe they're more in that instead of making 5 to 7, they're more in that 7 to 12 range. Or if it's a U.S. VA, because I have plenty of U.S. VAs, maybe instead of being in that 10 to 15 range, maybe they're in that $15 to $25 an hour range, or more if they're an expert. So it really depends on their skill set, how many people they're managing, how big your company is, how much money you're making, all those are factors when deciding that.
Yeah, and for me, my VAs are managed by my assistant. I know if there's mastermind members in here. Everybody knows my my executive assistant Valerie, and she deals with that. She's actually my niece, and but it doesn't matter because she's she's an American and she does everything that a regular assistant would do. But I think the point where you find somebody that does that is going to be, when you find a VA that does, so much work so well, and speaks English well, would probably be a prerequisite that they can, that you can give them that added task, so it won't be, oh, I'm paying them $10, now I'm going to be paying them 15 or 20. It's going to be, they do such a good job that now they can handle the other VAs, and you're just going to be adding that one extra job to them.
Ken, don't hire VAs that don't speak the language that you speak. It's a very bad idea. I don't think we said that. I think that might have been a miscommunication. But anyone that doesn't speak English doesn't get a foot into FreeeUp's interview process. We only want people that speak English at a very high level. They're never going to be on the same level as most U.S. people, but at the same time, they can communicate both reading, writing, and listening and all that. So that's very important. I mean, strong communication, being able to work on the same schedule, speaking the same language, those are bare minimums before you should hire a VA.
Absolutely. Most of my VAs speak English better than a lot of Southerners, so.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I would never even think about hiring somebody that, doesn't speak well English. I've had some that apply, and using Upwork, we had to do all kinds of crazy stuff because we put out one job posting, and I'd get 200 or more people applying. So we would put really stupid questions into the application process that most of them just ignored, and I would immediately delete them. And that's one of the things that you don't have to worry about with FreeeUp. Because with Upwork, I would say, we put in there, what's your favorite color? And half the people would ignore it because they were just doing a search and then sending you a form letter. So if they didn't say their favorite color, then I immediately deleted it. So that's how we would, start to narrow things down. But like I said, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And one other thing about FreeeUp that, just makes things so much easier is that, Nathan, at least for me, always has whatever I want just waiting. I say, here's the job that I'm going to start, and here's what I need them to do. And like 15 seconds later, he's putting me in contact with somebody that can do the job. And if I don't like them, he'll have somebody else waiting in the wings. He, so far at least, has immediately had somebody ready for, every job that I have. And, they're ready and free, not saying, well, in 4 days, I'm going to be able to, start working. I've trained them. I've started training every person I've ever hired from him immediately, after talking to them for a few minutes. So, if your time is as important to you as it is to me, then, being able to do all of that stuff is just, invaluable to your business.
I appreciate you saying that. And it's not just you that we give special treatment to. We try to be as fast as possible. And it's something we're trying to continue even as we grow. We just added a live chat feature to our website that will probably be launched 100% in full in January 1st. But we're really trying to be as fast as possible because a lot of time you can't wait to make that hire. If you're having an issue with your account or your customer service emails are getting out of control and you need someone to jump right in, you don't have the luxury of going to the Upworks and freelancer.com, posting a job, waiting for applicants to filter in, and then going through and hoping that you get the right one. We're trying to build that network of the 1% and make it big enough where we have all these skills available when you need them. And I mean, there's always going to be some crazy position that we don't know ahead of time and we don't recruit for. And if that happens, we'll recruit for you free of charge if you want us to. But for the most part, for most tasks, especially when it comes to e-commerce or basic business tasks. We have these people ready to go. And I told you I have a team of 15 assistants that are always around ready to help.
Well, right. So since you wanted to know if you should be telling your VAs about possible bonuses at the end of the year or 6 months or whatever, if they do a good job, or just give it to them, at the right time.
I personally don't tell them about bonuses. If they start to be a good VA that I start to trust, then I'll talk to them about my raise system of how they'll do better as the company grows. And if it gets close to the holidays, I maybe mention it. Honestly, this year I didn't even do that. I don't want to talk money with VAs when I hire them. I want them to be focused on the task. I want to hire people that care about something more than money. I want to see that they can be motivated by something more than money, and that they'll actually care about my business and the culture that I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to do here. So that's more important to me. If I have a worker that I hire and they ask me about a bonus a week after I hire them, I'm probably not going to work with them very long, depending on the situation. So that's just the way I do it. But who's to say that that's the right way?
Right. I agree completely. I've never mentioned a bonus or raises or any of that. And, the people who ask are, like Nathan said, aren't going to really work out very well. The thing is, when you say at 6 months, you get a bonus, at the end of the year or at Christmas time, you get a bonus, then it's not a bonus anymore. It's just part of their pay at this, and then if they don't get it, if, God forbid your account gets suspended, or, your business isn't doing as well, or, you spend 20 grand on something that tanks and you don't have a lot of money at the end of the year as their bonus time, then they think that they did something wrong, or they're going to be quitting, or, who knows what's going to, is going to be going through their heads. But at that point, it's part of their pay, unless they do something to lose it. And if you don't give it to them, they lost it. And, it's just, I don't think it's a good practice unless, you're giving them that instead of a raise. If you say every 6 months you get an extra $200, then it's part of their pay. But we're talking about giving them a bonus to incentivize their good work, or, at the end of the year, or, whatever reason you may have for giving them bonuses. But if they're doing a good job, they should be getting it. And if your business is doing well, then, you should be giving it, because, if you have a VA, or if you're getting a VA, they're going to be a critical part of your business. And if they're not, if you sold $50,000 in Q4 and you can't afford to give them a $200 bonus for, working 40 hours a week for the last 50 weeks, there's something wrong in your business, and you should probably be spending that money to find, a mentor or some kind of coach to help you fix your business.
I actually, let me go on the flip side of that. I made that mistake with my very first VA, and part of their compensation package, just when I still had a job, was a quote unquote bonus for sourcing products that I would actually buy. And I'll be honest with you, the time I spent saying, hey, I didn't buy this and I didn't buy this, so you're not getting the bonus on it, was too much, and I ended up having to let them go, and their work wasn't there. But when I started giving bonus without telling them, I got the work done up front the right way, and then the bonus just becomes, icing on the cake for them.
I agree, and it's more of a general business practice than anything else. You really shouldn't promise anything unless you can 100% do it, whether you're doing sales, talking to clients, talking to customers, talking to workers. So, I mean, if your business is a little bit more down the line and maybe a little bit more stable, and you've given bonuses year after year, maybe that's the time that when you hire someone, they should know what your company policy is and how you do it and what you give out. But if you're just starting, or you're in a startup mode like I am right now, even in year 2, it's not a good idea, and you really want to get away from the bonuses and make it something that is unexpected, that really rewards them unexpectedly, but also only comes if the business does well and hits certain goals and isn't that promise or guarantee that's going to let them down at the end. Because if you promise someone a bonus and you don't give it to them, they're not going to stay with you for the next 5 years, maybe even the next year. So don't set yourself up in situations when you're talking to anyone to promise something that you can't deliver. It's a very bad business practice.
Definitely. All right, so we've already been through here for an hour. So if anybody has any questions you want to get covered before we wrap it up, now is definitely the time. You have anything to add, Chris, before we wrap it up?
No, I would just say, treat your VAs the way you want to be treated. You may not get to see them, like you would a regular U.S. employee, but they're still people with families, and they're just like you and me. They just live in a different time zone. So, just practice the golden rule, and in the long run, you'll be happy.
Would you all introduce yourself? Okay, so Nathan, so whoever asked that, but Nathan is the CEO of FreeeUp. I just posted the link. And
he's the bald guy.
Yeah, right, the bald guy, the red shirt, good-looking guy. That's me.
Right. And if so if you need a VA, he's definitely the guy to contact. I just posted a link. He's got tons of stuff for software, and you'll see all this in everybody's going to get emailed a replay. So in about a day, so you'll be able to rewatch all that. What I did want to add, though, in closing, is that while they are people and they have families, don't put their family over yours. Don't be afraid to fire somebody. Like I was saying earlier, I fired two people at the beginning of the month, before Christmas, because they had put in a ton of time working for me, but it had just kind of leveled out, and they weren't doing a great job. They were kind of just phoning it in, and I really didn't need what they were doing anymore. But at the same time, they weren't doing a great job. If they were doing a great job, I would have kept them doing it. But so don't be afraid. Don't hire anybody. I was always taught, don't hire anybody that you're afraid to hire, afraid to fire. So don't hire your first VA if you're going to, be worried about, them supporting their families. There's always another job, and there's tons of jobs for people who have training. And remember, they're going to be getting training working for you. So the next person they go work for is, they'll have that much more experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even if you just look at it from a business side, it doesn't help. It obviously doesn't help your company keeping someone around that's not helping you, but it's also not fair to all the other people that are either working for you or would work for you in the future to keep that person around. So if you look at it as a big picture, you're really helping yourself and everyone else around you by not keeping people that won't help your business. Ken, I'll answer that question, and I know we got to end the webinar. It's pretty quick. If you set up a phone call with me, I'm going to go over how FreeeUp works, so there's no surprises. We try to be as transparent as possible. I'll show you how to get set up with an account, which is free, no monthly fees, and then have you request the worker that you want, introduce you to them, and you can interview them free of charge for 10 to 15 minutes, and let me know if you want to hire them or if you want to meet someone else. It's really that simple. And if you mention Shawn Mayo's name, you get 10% off your first worker, so don't forget about that.
Ooh, okay. So we'll give you the links to that, everything we talked about, the blog posts, the links to sign up when we send you guys an email, just to remind you. And yeah, definitely tell them you've seen it at the webinar. You'll get an extra 10% off of, what is it, 10% off of their
first worker. Yep.
Like forever?
For that worker, forever, yeah.
Wow. I wish I could have got that deal.
Merry Christmas.
That's killer.
Merry Christmas, yeah. Okay. So we'll see you guys next time. On the 11th, we do have, and we'll send you the link to that one as well. We have a great webinar coming up on the 11th of this month, next month, in a couple weeks, with TaxJar, and they're going to go over everything that you need to, get your sales tax going if you're not collecting sales tax yet. It's really simple using TaxJar. We've been using them for, I don't know, since we started, probably 4 years or more. It's a great piece of software. It basically automates everything as far as that goes. So we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.